You got one?
No, we'll try this one now. Yeah, I appreciate that introduction, Judy. Judy and I have had a long-standing relationship in kind of dealing with some of the community issues. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to talk to you, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now in law enforcement, and really nationwide. So I'll talk for a little bit. I ask a lot of questions. I want people to kind of you know, you had Jeff Weaver here, right? You know how lucky you are to have a chief like Jeff Weaver. I mean, he exemplifies Sebastopol in this community and represents this community in greater Sonoma County so well. Jeff's a really a good peer for me. So I'm sure he talked about some of the things that are going on, but Judy asked me to come over from Santa Rosa, and just to give you some contrasts between some of the things that are going on. So, how big is Santa Rosa Police Department, do you think? 150?
Sworn officers?
Okay, let's go with sworn officers. Total employees. Let's go with total employees.
Total employees?
Total employees. 40?
300.
200.
256. So what do you think Santa Rosa Police Department budget is? 100. $100 million. $54 million. Yeah, it gives you an idea. So calls for service, 256,000 calls for service, 125,000 911 calls come into Santa Rosa, just to give you kind of that compare and contrast.
Is that per year?
Per year. Yeah. Yeah. So, what's that?
How many are real? Percentage
Oh, yeah, I mean, we certainly get the 911 calls. How do you get to? That's how I agree. So, yeah, you're fielding a lot of calls. So, Judy pointed out my background a little bit. Came up through the ranks of Santa Rosa, have been in the community, raised my family in the community, which, to me, if you're gonna hire a chief of police, look for somebody that's from the community, because they have a vested interest in it. And so often they have a vested interest in making it a better place to live. So that's why Jeff here, myself over at Santa Rosa, and a few others around the community. Background, helped develop the family justice. Probably one of the things I'm most proud of. When you talk about domestic violence, and kind of coming up from the ranks as a detective in domestic violence, sexual assault units, where you have victims of that crime. Before we built the Family Justice Center, 26 different locations to get the services you need as a victim. And we put them all under one roof. The victim goes to one place now. And you ought to be proud as a community in Sonoma County that we have something like that. And then that event Judy mentioned, that was a tough time. But so many people ask me what community policing means. When Judy asked me to do that, I asked for volunteers from the police department. I had 26 volunteers from the police department that wanted to be there that night. Our school resource officers were there, patrol officers, dispatchers that answered the call. They were there, and we sat down in those small groups, and it was hostile at first. It was one of those where we're going to step off the cliff together, but we're going to do it because it's the right thing. By the end, most powerful meeting I think I've been to in a long time. So in terms of this meeting, I appreciate I don't have to wear the chicken or I was getting a little worried. Yeah,
It's not like
you start singing and everything. So what do you think the biggest issues right now facing law enforcement?
Guns.
Guns? What else?
almost.
Homelessness? Gangs? Recruitment's a piece of it. I mean, why do you think recruitment's a piece of it now? I mean, I'm going to offer a job. So a starting patrol officer is about an $85,000 a year job with benefits. Do you think it's easy to recruit police officers nowadays?
No.
Yeah, it really is a tough environment. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen it like this. Where the conversation that we're having now nationally. I mean, and I think as a matter of fact, Richard and I were talking about it. What the community expects its law enforcement to solve nowadays, it's almost overwhelming, right? Because you mentioned gangs, you mentioned homelessness, you mentioned guns. Every one of those, in some degree, you expect the police department to solve. Because if I look at the number of calls related to homelessness that we get, almost 20% of our calls for service are related to homeless issues, right? Because if you're a business owner and there's somebody sleeping in your doorway every night, and you get there in the morning, who do you call? Because we don't have the services that we need necessarily. We don't have the systems in place. So what I do, just like the Family Justice Center, just like the Violence Prevention Partnership in terms of gangs and gang violence, is you gotta team up. The community is a big piece of solving that problem. And law enforcement really has a very small portion in the problem. What happens though is we get wedged in, pick an issue. Homelessness, here's us. On this side, homeless advocates, housing advocates, all that. Who's on this side? Tourism board, tourism industry, businesses, residents. And who do they both call? Police department. So that's some of the biggest issues that we're facing right now. It's just a national conversation too. If you just listen to what's going on in the news. How many positive messages have we got in the news about police? Not very many, right? Because that's not really what sells in the media. But I gotta tell you, we're doing, you would be amazed. Jeff Weaver put out the Citizens Police Academy. If you get a chance to do it, it will be an eye-opening experience for you. Because you will not believe what goes on in the community every day when you get a chance to educate yourself a little bit about your police department. So we put it on in Spanish, we put it on, we have 2 regular sessions, we have 2 Spanish sessions, and we do 2 for our youth CPA, so our high school students go through it also. So why am I doing it for high school students? I gotta go upstream. I'm going to where I'm putting people, I'm trying to give kids a chance to look at a career in law enforcement down the road. You start looking at it going upstream. So you mentioned gangs. So gangs are an issue. I think in general, we've done such a good job in this community about going kind of upstream, looking at expulsion rates in the high schools, restorative justice programs in our high schools, keeping kids in school, because as soon as you expel them, we got a problem. Because where do they go? Right? That we've actually brought our number of gang violent crimes way down. And we're actually doing a better job of keeping kids in programs, and actually going all the way upstream to where you're actually doing reading programs before 3rd grade. Because that makes a difference in success rates in school. If they're successful in school, that's where it's at. Along with jobs. So now you're at a chief of police talking about jobs in school, and it's because that's where it's at. If you can do that, you can put us out of work. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily, but if we can do a better job, then that's exactly what we should be doing. So yeah, I mean, we at Santa Rosa, we do a lot of partnerships in our community. I mean, we're involved, I can't tell you, I mean, pick a community group and we have some level of partnership with it, dealing with some issue, because we're trying to get the police department in the role that they should be in, and that's law enforcement, right? But most of the time, we end up in a lot of different roles that we're not very effective at. So you mentioned homelessness. What are some of the issues around homelessness? Mental illness, right? What else? Substance abuse. So sometimes those are combined, right? Who's the point person for sometimes the homeless? Law enforcement. How much training do law enforcement get in mental health issues?
None. Little.
Very little. I mean, we have crisis intervention things like that, but we don't have the training to do long-term fixes. So when you think about a law enforcement agency, think of short-term. We're there to solve the problem, bring things under control, bring the chaos into focus, and then the longer-term stuff has to be somewhere else. Unfortunately, sometimes that's not available. So in Santa Rosa, now what we have is what we call the mobile support team, teaming up with the county. We can go out, and when we have a case where there's somebody that's having a mental health crisis, we can actually get mental health workers there that have the resources to get them into, treatment and get them into programming, so that we're not getting the calls again on it multiple times. So there's programs like that are starting to come up that really, I mean, it's a testament to Sonoma County in many ways because they don't exist elsewhere. When you look at our model of the Family Justice Center, it's the only one in the nation like that, where we actually have sexual assault, child abuse cases, all of that under one roof. It's the only one in the nation, but that's typical of Sonoma County. Mobile support team and things like that also. So what are the questions that you guys want to know about? What are some of the issues? You notice, we talk about the national conversation. I have a badge on right now. You know what's on it?
Black strip.
Black band. Why is there a black band on it? Anybody know?
Police desk.
Yeah. So the city of Santa Rosa and officers, when an officer is killed in line of duty, they wear the band. State of California, we wear the band and honor them till their funeral. So that's the officer from San Diego. Recently though, I haven't taken this off in almost a month, which tells you kind of what's going on. When you look at some of the things going on in Dallas, Baton Rouge, those are huge social issues that are kind of boiling over into where law enforcement's involved in it. Now, we have a piece of some of those conversations, absolutely. But we also have some community issues that we got to deal with that we're not necessarily good with. Law enforcement, can we solve poverty? No, we can't. We can't solve some of those issues, but we end up dealing with it on the front end. When you have incidents like in Dallas, when you have incidents like in Baton Rouge where 5 officers were shot and killed, it has an impact. It has an impact on the men and women that are doing the job every day. But I will tell you this is the first time I've ever experienced the kind of outflowing. All of a sudden, after the incident in Dallas, there were flowers on the police department sign. I've never seen that before. And it tells you, and I can't tell you how many batches of cookies we have gotten. We have a wellness coordinator trying to keep people healthy. We got more cookies than we know what to do with. So it is a good feeling to know that you have support. Because even the people that are the harshest critics of law enforcement still want law enforcement there. They just want to be able to have a say in how things go and what we do. And I think that's what you saw in this community with the Community and Local Law Enforcement Task Force. Judy was a big part of that, and some of the things that came out of it. So she mentioned the use of force. You can give me the chicken?
No.
Oh, here's time.
No, let's put the other mic in these people.
Beggar. It's over here.
I do have a question. I'm from Runner Park, and Brian Masterson has come into our Rotary
Right.
Club meetings and talked about the impacts of the casino. What's Santa Rosa feeling about any measurable impacts, good or bad, from the casino standpoint being in Runner Park? In the terms of law enforcement escalation and that?
Where we see it is usually in the human trafficking component. It's very difficult to measure some of those things because what's the impact of a major casino as it comes into it's very difficult to measure those, but I know Brian is feeling it in some of the local hotels that surround it with human trafficking, when I mean in prostitution and these kinds of things, drug trafficking, and even the ability to work with the casino and be on the casino grounds as law enforcement because I don't necessarily appreciate working at a lot of car theft, things that are coming up. So as it gets farther away from the casino, the impact's probably a little less
As somebody who just last week, as a member of the grand jury, took a tour of the main adult detention facility,
Right.
the thing that struck me is that they really are no longer focused on incarceration, but on being a first-level mental health facility with 2 mods devoted purely to people who've done something wrong, but part of the problem has been underlying a mental health issue. How is the Santa Rosa Police Department handling that same sort of thing? Because I imagine you get some of those folks before they hit the jail.
Oh, yeah, and that's what I mentioned, we're back to, the chicken and the egg, so to speak. Is the mental health issues causing the criminal behavior or vice versa? That's where MST, for us, the mobile support team gets involved because we do have options on the street. It may be that it's a minor petty crime, but it's really more a mental health-based issue. The officer can get there, evaluate the person, and then get MST involved and try to get some long-term services in place. But the vast majority, we have, I would venture a guess to call our mental health system a community-based mental health system that doesn't have a lot of ability to kind of keep people on track. It's a difficult issue. When you talk about the mod at the jail, the jails are not mental health facilities.
Well, they're acting that way now.
They're being forced into that role. They really are.
Chief, I think a lot of my perception anyway of cops out on the street, you see making traffic stops and things like that. What are some of the things that we don't even, as citizens, we don't even think about that you're totally involved with that are big issues for your department?
For us, right now, we mentioned one, homelessness. The other one is marijuana. And it's not a question, people ask me, why you opposed it or you for it. It's not a question of that. We're law enforcement. If the legislator says it's legal, it's legal. What we're trying to do is manage the issues associated with it. Because it's not, even if it is legal, it's not okay to blow up a city block, when you have all that hash oil lab and these kinds of things. So we're dealing with a lot of those. Let's just talk a little bit about car stops and things like that. How many people have ever been stopped?
Ask the other question. How many people have not been stopped?
I've been stopped. I've been stopped as chief of police, I gotta tell you,
Did you show your badge?
No, I did not. No, I did not. But, it's interesting because the philosophical or the physiological feeling is the exact same. And I think Judy was telling me her story when we were coming in. When you see an officer behind you, what does it feel like?
Uh-oh.
You've never done anything, right?
Slow down.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that officers generally respond to you the way you initially respond to them. So if you think about it, if you're polite and respectful, generally they're polite and respectful back. But that's not necessarily what we're seeing in the media, is it? Because if I make a car stop and I go up and say, hey, how you doing? There's a reason I stopped. Why'd you stop me? And it's like, all of a sudden it's escalated here. And it's the officer's job to get it back down here. You mentioned the force option simulator at the Citizens Police Academy. What that is a 380-degree video display of incidents that are occurring, and officers have to respond to them as if they're real. And the incidents change all the time. And it's 180 degrees because I may be talking to you, all of a sudden you're walking up to me, off to the side, so I have to go, excuse me, how can I help you? This kind of thing. So officers have to be able to do that, and they have to, so you hear a lot about this now. Escalate when appropriate, and de-escalate when appropriate. Most of the videos you're seeing are inappropriate de-escalations, or inappropriate escalations, right? That's a small portion of the almost 1 million officers that are out there working every day. So we gotta keep it in a little bit of perspective.
Hey, I've got a question along those lines. My wife was actually stopped within the last month or so by the Santa Rosa Police Department for a registration violation. And it was a very hot day. She got out of the car. And the officer, you know, immediately commanded her to get back in the car. Came up to her and said, you probably haven't been stopped recently, have you? In the last 10 or 20 years, because things have changed. We do not want people getting out of their cars, and we instruct them to stay in their cars. And I am wondering, it triggered a thought that I have, and I'd like to comment on this. You have developed a protocol for dealing with, for interacting with the public and events, and for escalating and de-escalating. And I imagine that has been an evolutionary process across time. You've looked at statistics, and you've had scientists look at this, and people develop protocol to increase the safety of what you do, and perhaps presumably the safety of officers. And I am wondering, to what extent does that shift the risk of the encounter between the public and the officer to the public? And how could we perhaps mediate and ameliorate that situation by informing the public of these protocols that police have developed, which are in most instances foreign to us? Like my wife had no idea about getting out of the car. And a lot of the people you encounter have no idea of the protocol and the things that they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So I don't know, like I said, just
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time educating on that aspect, because you're right. I mean, everybody raised their hand, they did stop at the police. How many times? Maybe you've had one encounter, maybe two in your lifetime. Maybe more than that.
Per year.
Yeah. I mean, we'll allow for the Bell murder on some of these, but yeah, for the most part, you don't have many conversations with police officers. So there's a couple things going on. You mentioned, how do you educate the community, right? So there's a very simple program we're putting on called Coffee with a Cop. Anybody ever been to one? So what we do is we have officers go out and they go to all the different places throughout the community. Like we've been to almost everywhere in our community. And businesses like it too, because that way, we do our Coffee with a Cop program. And officers are just there to answer those questions. Answer questions like that. Why do we not want you out of the car when you do a car stop? And everybody goes, well, I don't know. Why can't I get out of the car? Because I don't want you hit by traffic, is one. Two, if you're in the car, I know where you are, right? I know you're in one spot in a place. And two, it's just easier. For the most part, yeah, we don't expect people to come out of the car at us and things like that. It causes the escalation when people get out of the car, even though your wife's probably not an intimidating person at all.
I don't know about that.
To me.
Oh, she's very nice.
But everybody, thank the chief for coming.
I can certainly talk at these things for a long time.
Yeah, we can talk to you for a while.
Very passionate about some of this stuff, but I'll be around a little bit.
We have a job.
Does it involve chickens, eggs, dancing?
You never know.
Remember that from Camp Wonton, by the way, when my kids went to camp.
We have a door prize drawing. So what you need to do is choose one of these here tickets. And read the last four
I
numbers.
hope so. I got 712.
And Marty will win.
I hope so.
The last four numbers, 7722. Very much.
And again, thanks for making the trip so early in the morning.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Feeling well? You look like. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man.
There are 5 4s in that.
Your prize is from Wayne, he isn't here, but he came by yesterday and gave this Wayne's cap. This is very good. Okay, Very well. There you go. Let's see, Paul,
Sharing guy.
where'd you go? Oh, you thought I was gonna forget you, huh?
Who's a joke of the day?
Paula's got a joke for us.
Camel joke.
My dog used to chase people a lot. It got so bad finally I had to take, my dog used to chase people a lot on the bike. Finally, it got so bad I had to take his bike away.
Rocking for you, Paula. And a rocking for Brian. And a rocking for Phil. And a song